Hey guys, welcome to another Homelab Series video today. In today's video, we will be installing a speed test tracker. Essentially, it's going to be using the same thing that you probably go to, speedtest.net, and we're going to actually use someone's Docker container that utilizes that and then kind of graphs it out over time to show you, hey, how does your speeds look over time, essentially. This kind of can help you say, hey, you know, I consistently am getting 1 gig speeds, or I'm not consistently getting 1 gig speeds over for what you're paying for. So this video is also sponsored by me, myself, and I. So if you enjoy my content, want to sponsor me, or send me some free swag or hardware, my email is in the description below. So, okay, let's get started, guys. So, first thing we'll do is log into our new server. I think it was 72.168.1.40. I think that's what we're at right now. Yeah, SpeedTest Tracker. All right. So, this is just another Docker container that we'll use Docker Compose to install. So, let's install Docker here. So, we'll get the repo, and then y install Docker C. And you gotta type it in right. Docker C. There we go. While we do that, we will update our DNS in our GitLab here real quick. During that local zone, we'll make sure we update the serial here and then add speed test tracker. And let's send it 2 and 40, and we will save that in commit. Add speed test tracker. All right. So now that that's committed, we should go take a look at the Docker image right here, which essentially this guy, I mean, the 17 million polls, that's pretty impressive. Created using the speedtest CLI and Charge.js and React to essentially run the speed test, get the data, and then graph it out in this kind of nice looking interface. And so essentially there really isn't much to it. There's some also integration and notifications in case you want to utilize that. You can also back up and restore in case you're like, oh man, I need to back this up and restore to a different machine. But it'll graph, going back a few days. I don't actually know how many days, but you can X number of days. You can specify X number of days, so how many days of data you have. And a very simple kind of Docker Compose file here. Nothing that is too, extreme, honestly. So we have Docker installed. So let's enable Docker on startup and start Docker. What we'll also need is Docker Compose installed to use Docker Compose. So we'll grab it from the GitHub Docker repo, and we will make sure it is executable. So, boom, easy. Now we will edit the Docker Compose file, and we will copy this in here. Oh, dang it. I didn't insert. Hit I and then paste. There you go. So essentially, it will name the container speed test. It will grab it from the Docker speed test tracker container. I'm going to do 8080 here. So essentially, if I hit my machine on 8080, it'll redirect to 80 on the container. I don't like the weird, weird numbers, so I like kind of 8080 to keep it consistent. Path to data, we will just leave it at ./config. So same place where I'm writing. Time zone for TZ, so I'm in America, Chicago. You can be in whatever time zone you want. And then these two are optional, so I'm just going to delete those two. And the rest you can just leave as default. So we will save this, and then we can do Docker Compose up and detach. So it will pull the container down. Looks like there are 12 steps in this container that will pull down. It doesn't look too big. And then once this is pulled, it should start running. And essentially, we will hit it on 8080, and then it should redirect us to 80 on the container. So it might be still spinning out, but we can do HTTP and then speed test tracker.dragon.local on 8080. And you can see now you kind of have the graphical user interface. It is, so obviously there's nothing going on right now. It needs to actually do this first test, so we'll hit test here. So a test has been queued. The page will refresh when the test is finished. So we would let that get queued. But there are a few settings that you can look through. The big one that I would suggest that you actually, it's funny actually, this is the site I would recommend, cron tab guru, also for the cron tab. And if you're interested on how to use cron tab, I do have a Linux tech tips and tricks cron tab video, so go free to check that out. But essentially you can set for how often you want to test your speeds. So in this case, it'll run at the top of every hour, and I would essentially get hourly stats. If you wanted it more frequently, you can do it every 30 minutes, I wouldn't do it more than probably every like 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes is pretty good. You don't really need to speed test that often. I would say an hour is pretty sufficient to just gather stats, but definitely don't do it every minute. That's just overkill. And that's also just a lot of data to go in and out. So if you have a data cap, you really don't want to be doing this that much. So, but by default, it's set at the top of every hour, and you can change other things here. Those are notifications. So if you're using Slack, Telegram, you can essentially use those to send test notifications depending on what you have for a threshold. If you want to set a threshold based off of, hey, this is running a lot slower than before, maybe something on my network's congestion or something like that. Then you can do health check IO also. You can send this data to InfluxDB, which then you can ingest into your Grafana dashboard and stuff like that. So we might make a video on that in the future. So, okay, so by now, you can see that it essentially gives you the same stats when you go to speedtest.net. You get your ping, download, and upload. So you can see that in my one test, I have about 17 millisecond ping. I got 851 a download and 927 upload, which I pay for 1 gig speeds. So for the most part, this is pretty standard. I'm usually between 8 to 900 and about 900 to 1,000 for upload here. So it's about what I would expect, depending on network traffic in my house, people watching YouTube videos or watching Netflix and stuff like that. So I don't expect this to ever really hit 100. Plus latency between my cables and my Homelab. So, but essentially at the next hour, top of the hour interval, it will essentially run again. So in this case, it ran 8:01. It will run at 9 next, right? So then you get a stat, and you can just see, hey, am I about the exact same on upload and download speed and ping, or am I just completely off? So there you go, guys. That's how you set up a speed test tracker. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.